Welcome to All Things in the Name of Love. If you like this show, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks. Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. And today I have with me a beautiful soul named Eric McHugh. And we just started talking like about a minute ago, and we're already geeking out about quantum physics and spirituality, but I want to give you a really brief introduction before we dive in.
Sure.
You're the president at Shopx Labs, and you're the chief growing officer at Data-ing. And my initial thought was I was going to talk to you about the blend of spirituality and quantum physics with technology. And we can talk about that later, but I mean, that could probably blend in, but I just want to like dive into what we started to about like that whole spirituality and quantum physics and how amazing that field is and tapping into consciousness. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I find the term quantum spirituality to be the pretty cool thing. Right?
Like
Because
that.
because in the end, it really is all the same thing. Like the quantum in its core is not that I know, but it's essentially everything exists in this present moment. So you have the ability to access everything in this present moment. And it all goes back. So there's like the scientific aspect, but if you research what's happening in science now, the religion and the spiritual aspect has got it down too. And it's all like everything spirals.
Yeah. It's just fascinating. And so how did you start your exploration into this beautiful field of awareness?
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it happens with or for me, I think it's a pretty standard story. Actually, every story is unique, but it was like a dark time in my life, and eventually, like like this when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I
Mhm.
think my first actual deep dive was through A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So
Mm.
that was the gateway into that lane of thinking, and then from there, just like a bunch of different content, like Joe Dispenza, Robert Grant, Hermes Trismegistus, like all that content, all the meditation stuff. It just kind of like appears to yourself like videos and reels, and I think
Mhm.
but once you start listening to something and it resonates with you, you just kind of go down that path.
Mhm.
And what really helped me just crack this wide open is I took initiative and went on a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat in
Oh,
the middle of that. So then I went on that experience. It was beautiful. It was transformative. I came in all
sorry.
I oh no. It's a it's a cute kid.
Abu.
What's what's his name or her name?
Abu.
What is it?
Abu.
Oh, like Aladdin.
Yeah. He's a
Yeah.
love bug, and he loves to come in when I'm doing podcasts.
Yeah. Makes sense. He does as he pleases.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and for me, it's like doing that meditation retreat was extremely transformative. And then I read some books, like I think reality transurfing was one of the most beneficial things I've ever read.
Mm.
And the logic behind that is, okay, this thing is cool. The best, and there has to be a way for me to leverage it in my real life. And it turns out just selecting the reality or timeline you want to be in is
Mhm.
extremely helpful. And it just so happens if I want to raise the people, like I think but overall, like our inner goal is to raise our own level of consciousness.
Mhm.
And in raising your own level of consciousness, you raise the level of consciousness of those around you, which thus benefits the whole collective. So all that information just starting to appear to me, and obviously that means I have a lot of work to do, and it's going to take a lifetime to do. It's just starting to it's starting to snowball.
Right, right. And well, and it does, because like the more that we unwind ourselves, um, the more we get a sense of what we're actually here to do and be. I mean, it's not so much a doing, it's just the beingness of us, and whatever our gifts are helping the collective. And that's just so much fun.
Yeah. And I want to tie this back into entrepreneurship because that's your thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly, it's like you are who you are. You are born with a specific amount of gifts. You were born with a specific purpose, and you owe it to the collective or the source or Akashic records or whatever you want to call it to follow your purpose, because that's the best way you can best serve the collective, in the sense serve you, serve others, serve everyone.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is what led to the two companies. Is I just follow my natural, genuine intellectual curiosity.
Mhm.
And it just led me to like both these separate companies, which are not really related, but both are doing good, positive things in the world. So and
Mm.
they're both, of course, related too. So
Mhm.
it all circles.
I love that. And like, was it so for me when I first started being aware of my spirituality? I'm like, okay, here's my spiritual self, and here's the rest of my life.
Yeah.
because it was a
Correct.
little bit like, and then it integrated. Was that a path that you felt, or was it just all integrated as you were going along?
Oh no, definitely was not all integrated. Like for example, I'd have my time, like I do my meditation in the morning. I'm like, okay, this is my meditation time. No one disturb me, and then I go back to normal life. But eventually, like it all kind of blends together eventually. I mean, like everything you do, there's that spiritual aspect. You're just like, okay, everything I do, does it raise my level of consciousness? Does it raise their level of consciousness? If it doesn't help both people, we're not going to do it. And
Hmm.
that vibe, that energy, that frequency, that spreads off, and it also attracts people on the similar path. Like for example, I've met plenty of cool people I've never met like this past year who've been to spirituality. They've done Vipassana meditation. They've done the work. They're some are even enlightened that just they've never even entered my field of consciousness before I started looking like there's no way it's coincidence I met like 20 to 30 people like this just in 1 year. Prior I met zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh no, I get it. Like I signed up to Podmatch, and every single person I've interviewed, I'm like, I am so grateful you're on the planet with me.
yeah, right.
Like I didn't know, because I just like a spiritual podcast, and I've just been doing this for like 5 years, and I didn't know that was like something people would be interested in being guests on. And every single person, I'm like, thank you so much for being on the planet with me at this time in consciousness, because like I'm feeling the vibration, I'm feeling the frequency. I love the heart math
Yeah.
connection. And so when I feel the frequency of the other person, I'm like, this is so exciting,
Yeah.
because we're co-creating these amazing things in the world with our different gifts to help others raise their consciousness. And that just makes me so happy.
It makes me happy too, and I love that podcasts like this exist because like when I go on a podcast, my overall intention is to spread positivity. So the
Mhm.
thing is like podcasts are a way to do it at scale. Like for example, and this is how I got in. I think this is how most people get on. You just listen to like high vibe people talking. You're like, this is cool. I like what they're doing. Then you start doing it yourself, and
Mhm.
it's really just a trickle down spreading of goodness, which I think we kind of I mean, I think it's happening naturally in the sense I view the overall level of consciousness despite what social media is pushing, which
Mhm.
is obviously on purpose.
Right.
But like I think it's overall raising. Have you heard of the did you see this? I think it's David R. Hawkins scale of vibrations. It's like the 0 to 1,000 thing.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're
Right around 200, but we're
yeah,
getting there. We're getting there.
yeah, I know, and I'm feeling it. Like I feel like I had a very fascinating awareness on Christmas Day, where the cat that lives in the place where I was staying, she made eye contact with me and her ears went flat back. I'm like, okay, well, this is interesting. I'm going to listen to this. And the television was playing Christmas carols.
Yeah.
Well, she somehow tapped into my consciousness and was like, will you listen to the frequency? And so I start listening to the frequency. And then she's like, okay, now I want you to listen to the lyrics. I'm like, how are you telling me? Like, I'm just being present and watching this. I like it wasn't a conversation. It was just
Right.
awareness. And by the time the TV turned off, she jumped off and was disgusted. And I had this shift in awareness of like, oh my gosh, the programming, the Christmas songs. And I love Christmas songs. Never heard it before. She was like, no, you're going to listen to this. I'm like, wow, this is so fascinating that now they're, if we're open to it, they're trying to give us messages to awaken us more, because it's like everyone, like trees and rocks and everything, is trying to help us in our ascension process. And it's really fascinating.
No, I mean, it's definitely awesome that I think, and this is a very, for me, it's been a very helpful shift of mindset where it's like, oh, it turns out the universe really does have your back. It has a perfect plan. Everything's happening for a reason. Who am I to question it? The only thing you can really do is just go with the flow and enjoy the ride type of thing.
Yeah, it really is, because like anything I plan just doesn't happen. I mean,
Yeah.
fortunately the podcasts do, because they're on my calendar, but like every day to day, it's like, okay, what do I feel like in this moment?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard to like schedule things with people, because it's a moment by moment thing. And so it's a whole paradigm shift in terms of like living to do versus living to be.
Yeah. Because living to do is you're living in the future, and obviously that's just causes stress because you're just like thinking of something in the future that hasn't even happened too. Like your future thoughts, like your gen, like I know you know this, but like imagine like you're a person, you're thinking about something stressful that could happen in the future. Your body is reacting to that stressor in the future, which didn't even happen.
Right,
This like it's having the same chemical reaction of that. Plus, not only that, it's what you start thinking about. So your thought energy will create quantum collapse, making the stressful the future that you don't even want more likely to
right,
happen in the anyway. So it's just like no one wins in that situation.
right. I know, and it's funny because like my connection has been like, okay, if I like plan even one day, they're like, what do you need now?
Yeah.
I'm like, shit,
Oh, I'm fine now.
dang it. But maybe no, now. What do you need now in this moment? What do you need in this moment? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna, because I have a I'm a visionary, so I love seeing things in the future. It's like one of my cool gifts, and they're pulling me back. That's nice. You know the things in the future that are happening because you've already put them out into the universe.
Yeah.
Great. Leave them alone and be present.
Yeah. I
And
could I get that's pretty funny because I think I'm more of the opposite where I've
mm,
in dreams it's like I've been visiting what I think to be past lives and just like really cool stuff there. So that's
that's
been like
cool.
I mean, but don't see the future because I've always wanted because like the way I view like 3D, 4D, and 5D is 3D time is like time is linear.
Hmm.
Whereas I would, and of course, this is just my interpretation. Who knows? It's right or wrong. Nothing's right or wrong. But I would say 40 is like where you get the graph where it's like people can go forwards, people can go backwards, and then people can also go horizontal. And means like you can obviously you can check out different lifelines that you're
Right.
on. Whereas I think 5D is where it's just like I just call it the big bleh, where it's like all time is just there and whatever it's
Yeah.
like whatever speck of time, which doesn't even exist, that your soul chooses to focus on, that's where you exist in the present moment. So like
Hmm.
I, but who knows? Like that's just best guess.
No, I get it because like there's just this weird like when we get in that present moment. I this walk today in the neighborhood that I'm at, and one of the things I get to do is I get to talk to trees. I don't know why, but it's a gift I have. And all the trees I walk by, especially cedars, that they love me.
Oh, cool.
Um, they were like dormant. And so I started touching them. And that's all I do. I don't really have a conversation. I just like bring awareness to them. And all of a sudden they all went, oh, oh, humans paying attention to us. Wow, this is so cool. And when it's this, they shifted their responses to me because I had awareness, and that bringing focus to what you're paying attention to and how it can shift consciousness is really powerful.
Oh yeah. I mean, where your attention goes, your energy flows, right? But
Mhm.
what were the trees saying? Because I've started to notice this too, but it's like a slightly different thing where it's like I've started to notice like really intricate geometrical like patterns within the leaves, within like the
Ooh,
different sound trees. Like so I'm more noticing that because
okay.
and that so now I think and what you just did, I think you helped with that process for me in the sense like okay, now I'm gonna be more aware of the trees and what they're saying.
Yeah.
For me, it's just I'm walking like do my thing. Like
Mhm.
that's a cool pattern in the leaves where the sun is just like amazing. But now I think I'm
Right.
actually like listen. I'm guessing
Well,
you.
for me, it depends on the tree, like, and where I am. Like, I was in Orcas Island this summer, and I met Redwood, and she actually had a conversation with me. I'm like, I didn't know that could happen. Like, it was all internal, but it was like, you're gonna meditate on me under me, and I'm like,
Okay.
excuse me, wait, you're a tree, and you're telling it, but like most of them are just like, it's more of a, it's kind of like an energy of hi, come say hi to me.
Yeah.
Then I'll just touch their fronds. And then there's like this exchange of happiness because we've acknowledged each other. Um,
Exactly. Knowledge
I
existence.
with boulders, because they don't want me to call them rocks anymore. With boulders,
Oh,
I'll
I
get
love
pulled to one to sit on it.
I love granite. Granite's the stone. That's the one that calls. Whenever there's a granite, so it's like
Yeah.
I need to sit on that barefoot. And
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like stand.
Yeah. And it's just like this amazing grounding experience. And I remember when last year I was down in Mount Shasta, and my friend Dan was taking us on a hike, and he brought us to this grove of boulders, of granite boulders. And one of them was sitting off in the corner, and I couldn't stop feeling, come here, come here, come here. I'm like, why is there? But I sat next to her, and all of a sudden I had this amazing purge of energy that I had no idea I needed to purge, but it was because that tree was, that rock grant Boulder, was holding space for me. And she saw that I needed to be with her. And I was like, how? We don't know anything.
We don't.
But it's really magical because when we slow down and listen, especially when you're barefoot, because that changes
Yeah,
everything.
you need to be barefoot.
Yeah,
Or you don't need to be barefoot, but I think you want to be barefoot.
it's pretty magical.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad I'm glad you do the ground. Do you have any
Oh,
specific methods to ground? Because for me, it's like obviously I do the like different surfaces or just sit on grass. Is there anything specific you do or that's
um,
helped you?
well, my favorite is laying on a field. Like just
Yeah.
laying on the field for like, I would prefer hours.
Yeah.
When I'm by myself, I do hours. When I'm with my friends, they're like, it's been like 20 minutes. Can we go now? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, why would I want to leave?
We're just getting started. Look at the clouds and look at the
Yeah.
birds. And like I'm just all in that. And I prefer like if I could spend and I'm in Oregon, so I can't do this every day because it's like raining. But thankfully not today, but wet. I don't like wet grass. Sinking in the soil, wet grass. But I my preference is just to be barefoot or having grounding shoes, and barring that, a grounding pad. So I can at least feel that energy of the earth because for me, it's really important. I'm an Aquarius and I need to be as grounded as much as I can.
Yeah. Nice. Safe from Oregon. Do you have like are you more of like a loner in terms of spirituality, or did you find like your high vibe tribe? And if you found them, how do you find them?
Oh, that's interesting. At first, yes.
Yeah.
Um, and then I met my former mentor, and through her, she had classes. And then I met some of my tribe. And then in 2020, I was guided to go from Portland down to Weed, California, which is right outside of Mount Shasta, and stayed there for 3 years. And I finally was guided to come back up to Oregon. I'm really grateful for that. I love Oregon. But like through that, I've met some really amazing beings that are just so heart-centered. And I don't have a lot of friends, but I don't need a lot of friends because
Yeah.
the ones I have are just so divine and in their own heart space. And we're all just being and supporting one another energetically and with ideas and collaborations. And it's magical.
I've heard because you mentioned Mount Shasta a couple times. I have a friend who has like his grandmother's house on the mountain, and he says it's a magical like especially as a kid. He said he saw some like aliens and just very like and he's also one of, like he's a spiritual person too. He
Mhm.
said that's what really kicked it off like as a kid. Like I hear it's a magical place. Like would you mind?
It's it's amazing. I've seen a portal open up on the north side of the mountain. I was sitting at my friend Kara's house, and my friend Gary and I are watching meteors, and all of a sudden at like midnight, and I don't usually stay up that late, but it was a meteor shower, so why
Yeah,
not?
yeah, yeah.
Um, I see this green thing, and I'm probably about 10 miles away, maybe more, but like it's like I can see it with my eyes. It's like this big
Yeah.
from where I am. And I'm like, Gary, look at this. And he's like, I'm like, do you see that thing? And it's like widening and shortening and going out and that like it's just opening. And it was like, and then it rose a little, then it went back down. And I'm like, this is a thing. I don't know what this is. And I'm just like watching it. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm really grateful you're here. I have no idea what you're doing. It's night. I don't want to be taken anywhere. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so what happens if you go through a portal? Do you know? Or no one knows? Or do you have a guess?
Um, it depends. Like I
Yeah.
can tell when I'm in, I've had a couple different experiences where I felt my consciousness shift
Okay.
based on where I am at or who I'm with. And yeah, it's more of like for me, it's like a shift in my consciousness and I can feel more light in my body. Um, I haven't actually walked through a portal so much as been aware of an energy that's around me that feels like a portal. How about you?
I've never seen a portal. That's why I'm asking
Oh,
because
okay, okay.
that's super curious. Like
It's
that's fast. Yeah.
it was wild. I'm like, okay, I live in Mount Shasta. And I mean, all the ventricular clouds are really spaceships that are just hovering.
Yeah, I believe that.
And it's like,
No,
come on, guys, you got to come up with a better disguise.
yeah. No. Because I think we're on the same page. We're in the sense I think aliens are pretty much just all around us. Spiritual beings are just all around us, like in this room. They're just kind of all there, just like chilling, doing their thing.
Yeah.
And we're just not at the level of awareness where like I can't even see them. Like I can sometimes they'll come up, like sometimes you'll see something, but it's very
Mm,
rare. But
okay.
you can feel them. Where you're just like,
Oh
hmm,
yeah, definitely feel them. That's the only time I've ever seen a portal. I have seen spaceships,
yeah,
because Mount Shasta. But I haven't not that I'm aware of, I haven't met any non-human beings yet that I'm not already aware of, like the elements. I already know the elements and the elementals, but like
yeah.
the other ones, I haven't, not that in my consciousness, I haven't met yet.
Have you had any experience with them? Do you know, because you know, like there's like spiritual beings. Some are beneficial, some aren't beneficial. Have you had any experience with the non-beneficial ones? Because the beneficial ones are all cool, and you're just like, oh, you're nice.
Yes, I
People are,
actually have. This is really interesting. So I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
yeah,
But so I had a situation this summer where a person I had been very deeply energetically connected with has an addiction.
okay,
So when you have an addiction, and we all have addictions, but like his was marijuana. And so I was guided last year when we stopped talking that I couldn't spend time with him anymore because the energy frequency of the marijuana he was using and the amount he was using was lowering my vibration.
correct.
So I said, not choosing, not asking you to choose, I'm choosing me. And that ended the relationship, which is fine because that's his journey.
It is what it is. He's on his perfect path.
Right, which is beautiful. This summer, he was helping my friend Kara move out of one house into another, and he had to move some of my stuff because my stuff was at the place that we were at. And he was nervous. An entity came through him and attacked me because we still had an energetic connection because we did eye gazing, and I didn't know what that would do to a relation. I didn't know how deep a connection could be when you eye gaze
So
until it,
that creates like a soul type thing, right?
yes,
Okay.
really
I
deep.
I didn't know you could. I didn't know it was that deep. So it
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
It is. So I got physically attacked from his fear of seeing me
Oh,
through this entity, and I had to do some really deep energetic work of cord cutting and all these things to completely disconnect from him because I thought I had,
but
but then
no.
I didn't. And then he renewed the relationship, and then he took off again and said I was stalking. It was a whole thing. Anyways, the point is that when we have a lower frequency, we open ourselves up to,
That's spiritual attacks.
right,
Yeah, because like
right.
it's more. I've noticed that too. When like whenever I follow like a lower nature type thing, let's call it relapse because that's what it is. And
Mhm.
that's when they start coming in like through dreams and just unpleasant stuff. What would you say your base frequency is if we're going on the scale from 1 to 1,000? You had to
Mm.
get. I know it's non-dual and you can shift it, but if you just had to guess,
Given how much I've grown in the past year, I would say probably around 7. Okay, I'm hearing 733.
oh nice. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like,
Like,
okay, that's interesting because I don't feel it, but I'm not
yeah,
asking me. I'm asking, I'm asking my higher self, like, where am I? Because I ask my friends to show me where like, you see something that doesn't feel like I'm in my highest version of myself, please show me. I love hearing subconscious programs that I can't see.
yeah, because
Like,
that's how you learn, and they're all there.
right.
Like it's so crazy that we've been programmed for such a young age
Yeah.
for such reasons, and like it's so hard to break out to where I think that's where meditation really helps, where it's
Yeah.
when you really go inward, and then oh, I'm sure you felt like the full energy rushes, like and every like you felt that flow when you go into some deep meditation. It's like, and then you just like the head and the kind of blows up, and you're just like best for everyone. It's like
Right.
love across the world.
I definitely feel that. Where do you feel you are?
I'm around 550, and the reason I say that because I think around that level is where you're most associated with like joy, and I find joy in pretty much everything I do. So it can change, and again, I hear you because like I hear I hear what you're saying when you're hanging around like people who are I don't want to say lower vibe because we're all the
Different
same.
frequency, different frequency.
Yeah, just different frequency where it's like
Yeah,
you're saying, you're like, oh, this is kind of bringing me down.
right.
Like for example, I went to a bar for the first time in like 6 months. I'm just like, I just kind of want to go away, like back. I want to go back to the trail. I want to go back to my like my meditation little area.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. Like I can tell frequencies really keenly. And a example today, I was walking and all of the dogs were like, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And I'm like, "Sure, of course you can, because I love animals. Like I work with animals." So the humans, very interesting because I'm like talking, I'm not doing a speed walk. I'm actually connecting with the land and talking to it and like just sharing my energy. And it was so fascinating to see the different vibrations of the people. And there's no judgment. It was just like, wow, it's interesting to see who's feeling me and who's not, and how they're feeling and how they're responding to me. Because I'm just in my own space and like doing my own crazy Shasta thing of talking to the land.
Yeah,
and and it was just like, oh wow, so like what am I doing is I'm having a conscious awareness now to just activate my toroidal field and let that be love, so I can just do me, and if they feel it they feel it, if they don't they don't. It doesn't matter because I'm not going to change. I'm done with changing myself for other people and making
yeah,
people comfortable for
no,
me being weird. Well, I'm not weird, I'm just me.
correct.
But like, recognizing that that's going to bring a lot of discomfort, and that's okay because the
Yes.
discomfort is part of the awakening process.
Oh yeah. No, people think awakening is just all. People think it's like you just wake up. You're just like, ah, no, it's not. It's like the opposite of that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but there are some people, some gnarly tornado feels where you're just like you just walking, you're just like, oh, okay, that,
Hmm.
that's a high vibe person. Or in reverse, you're just like, oh, that's just ugh.
It's just, yeah, it's like and I can feel it. And a couple of weeks ago, I was up in Portland, and I lived in Portland for 9 years, and I know Portland really well because I used to walk all the streets and everything. I got lost for a half hour. I'm like, what is going on? What's the free? Wait, I don't get lost in Portland because it was a different frequency.
Hmm.
And I mean, it was at night too, and I got off an exit I didn't know, but it was really weird because I'm going, oh, I know where I am. And then I got so disoriented, and my friend Janice, who was driving, was like, I don't know where I am either. And then my friends Gary and Robin, who were meeting, they got lost too, and we all know Portland. And it was like,
Hmm.
wow, the frequency shifted.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
No, or a frequency shift. But it's probably for a reason too. Probably it was a positive frequency shift, right?
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
know when we all met, there was a shift in the frequency because I saw the synergies between two of them, and we all had to like, it was beautiful.
When
But
you when you say frequency shift, to you, is that the same as jumping into a different lifeline, or are those different? Because I know the frequency leads a
that's a
lot.
good question.
Yeah, because I never thought about the difference between the two, because both have just always existed, but
So what? So there's two levels that I saw. There was me introducing Gary and Janice because I saw synergy between them, and then separate from that, I felt that the four of us coming together activated something, and it was like this light bomb going off in Portland that spread energy around. And I was like, oh, that's interesting because I don't, I'm just being me, and I'm introducing my friends because I saw the synergy. So I didn't really have like an egoic thing going. It was just an awareness thing. So whatever that meeting was, where we had this awesome dinner at Jake's Seafood, um, something shifted. And so, like, yes, there was this toroidal field that happened that just, you know, ripple affected something. And then because of that, new connections, new synapses were made, and things are unfolding in different ways than they would have before the meeting. So I think there is timeline shifts because of that. Um, but I hadn't really thought that through until I was talking again.
yeah,
So
huh, that's funny.
yeah, so like whenever we collaborate, and that's my favorite way of being, um, and we bring in that that form into matter, we shift things.
Yeah. whether for good or bad. But the thing is that you have to be conscious of what you're bringing into because, like, like thought energy moves more freely than materials like slow. So I think it's nice to be able to be conscious of what you're thinking. Like, just like, okay, because obviously you can't prevent negative thoughts, but you at least be conscious and just like observe the negative thought. Like, oh, okay, maybe that's why I'm doing that, and then
Yeah.
kind of accept it, and then maybe switch it to like a positive thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of spreads like
Yeah.
wildfire.
Oh yeah, I can feel that. I can feel it when like tomorrow I'm going to be going into Portland and I'm going to the farmer's market. And every time I go to the farmer's market there, I intentionally activate my Merkaba and then I send out a toroidal field of love because I love the farmers at the farmer's market.
What's a Merkaba?
Um, Shoot, it's in my car. It's a multifaceted star.
Okay.
And I was actually sitting at a theater a few months ago and I heard activate your Merkaba and I'm like, okay. And so it's this multifaceted star and it activated around me because I heard it and I said, okay, I'm activating my
Yeah.
Merkaba. And then I heard, okay, now you're going to activate your toroidal field of unconditional love. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And it happened and I felt it because I was being present to it. And then because I was feeling compassion, like, oh, you don't need to, like, the whole thing was I living in weed, I didn't experience the trauma of the past 3 years.
Okay.
I
That's
hugged my friends, we had dinners together, nothing changed. So
perfect.
I
No,
don't
like
have the post-traumatic stress disorder of what most of the United States has. Where I lived, 90% of everybody got vaccinated and they experienced the trauma of the past 3 years. So I'm like compassion, compassion, compassion. And I hear you're supposed to watch the play. We'll take care of the compassion and the love, just activate your toroidal field of light. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And so I was able to be present and watch the play. It was a C.S. Lewis play. And I was like, oh, C.S.
oh,
Lewis.
nice. You should get that.
Um, and I was able to hold space for the love that wanted to come through me without being the active participant of it. So it was really fascinating. So ever since then, I've just been doing it every day because it just feels good.
So you've just been sending love in every direction.
Mhm.
It's interesting because have you ever done Vipassana meditation or went to a
I have not. I have not.
uh, okay, so the method of Vipassana, it's a 10-day noble silence retreat. So you go there, there's nothing to do, you meditate, you don't talk to anyone, you have a meditation hall, everyone there's extremely high vibe.
Mm.
It's the method that the Buddha he personally used to reach enlightenment. So what you do is you focus on your first 3 days you focus on your nostrils, so eventually you start picking up different sensations, and
Oh,
then
cool.
you scan your body back and forth, so it extracts the traumas that have been stored in
Oh,
different sensations in your body,
wow.
and the reason I bring it up is because the way you're just getting up and forth, so like a magnet extracting impurities from metal. The
Mhm.
way you end it is, and this is what you were doing too, is you eventually end at the crown chakra. You focus all your energy in your head, and then you just send off love to like the whole world. And
Mhm.
so that's how and what was cool though is because like in this retreat, it's like there's like 100 people there doing the same thing. And of course, when you're around that many people doing the exact same thing
Yeah.
for so long,
Yeah.
the in one room, like you're just sitting in the same spot, like the whole day, just everyone doing the same thing. It's taught by a guy too, so it's like at the same time. I'm just like, oh, this is awesome.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It's one of the best things I've ever done. But
Oh,
yeah,
that I love that.
but yeah,
I don't do the cross legs very well for too long, but
you learn to do it because I remember that's where we call that one like strong determination, where it's like okay, you sit there for an hour, you just don't move, and the first couple years like, oh, this kind of hurts, but you eventually, but to that point, this is where the gratitude and this nature came in. Is it's in Joshua Tree. And
mm,
the location, the center is where during Indian times, this is where there is the no war zone land. So it's like the peace area. But
ooh,
the it's like the because there's these spirits and like you just lie out and like I'd lie out at night and just like watch the stars for like hours. But like you see things walking around, like the animals, like the energy in that specific places.
Yeah.
I would say it's next level, and there are people on the retreat who are from like Joshua Tree, who like climb the mountains, they explore like the pregnancy caves of the Indians and stuff. And they say the stuff they see at night in that specific area is just insanely cool. And on top of that, there's like a military base right off to the side for some reason. They were like, oh, they're probably experimenting with some stuff over there. So,
About.
but yeah, it
Well,
all goes back.
I know there were military bases in Shasta, so it was an interesting blend of really high frequencies and different frequencies, I'll
Yeah.
say. And yeah, it was really intense living there. I'll just say that.
Yeah, but what was it like? So how long did you live in Chester? Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in Shasta, I was in Weed, and it was really intense because like I had the most gorgeous view. I saw the heart of the mountain. Every place
Mm,
I lived, I saw the heart of the mountain, and so I was able to receive that. Um, I learned how to deal with triggers. I'm a master of that now.
nice.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks. It took a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm sure
It took a lot of work. I
necessary
learned to
work.
be really present with myself when I feel something that's off. Like because I had anxiety most of my life, and whenever it comes out in now, because I know what it is, I'll just be there and I'll just stay in that state until I feel the energy move.
Yeah.
And that's true with any energy that I feel in me because it just wants to be felt.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wants to be felt, observed, not judged, just it just wants to
Right.
be there and
Hmm.
eventually just goes its own way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, interesting.
So, but it was really limited food choices.
Yeah.
Small town. It's a really small town. Um, Amazing friends down there. I have amazing friends down there. The most interesting thing I thought for me, I love hiking. It's one of my favorite things to do. I didn't hike. I'm like, why didn't I hike in like, come on, why didn't I hike? And when I was up in Orcas for 2 months, like as soon as I could, I started hiking every day. I'm like, what is going on here that I didn't hike? So I don't know what that is, but I love hiking. So it was like, I'm not hiking here. What's going on? So I don't know what that was, but it was really interesting.
That is quite peculiar.
Hmm.
I guess there's no point to there's no point to question it because it is what it is.
Yeah,
But if you love hiking, you're not hiking, there has to be a good reason for that. Because
I
I'm sure
know.
I'm sure you just didn't feel a desire to hike, right? You're just like, ah, and you never even thought about it.
I don't know what it was because like I'd be like, okay, I want to do something. So I joined a gym for a year and a half and I swam and it was great. And then they changed the chlorine and I stopped doing that. And where I was living, I couldn't really walk very well because it was like people would speed down secondary roads at like 50 miles an hour and there's no, you know,
Yeah.
walking area. I don't know what it was. It was very strange. But now I'm like walking again. Now that I'm not there, I'm walking every day. What was that? So it's just very curious. I think I was just because I was like, no, you have to go within, do as much internal work as you can, and that's going to wipe you out.
Oh yeah, that's it's
So,
it's very serious work. It's people think it's just like sitting and not strenuous. It's just like, nope, you're in
that
for
would
a
be so
treat.
lovely.
You're in for a good treat. Have
I mean,
fun.
but it's part of the like it's part of our journey is to like uncover all those things that aren't us so that we can be the light that we are.
Do you shadow integration at all or
So,
yeah,
so much, so
yeah.
much.
So
I mean,
that
and it's beautiful. Like I came across something the other day where it was something that was actually a very complex aspect of my beingness from when I was 11 that I'd seen aspects of it, but I hadn't seen the whole picture of it. I was
yeah.
like, oh, wow. And it like, I felt it for 3 days, like dreams coming in, showing me different aspects for 3 days. And then the third day, I was like, okay, now I can actually sit with this and see the whole picture and see how this perception has been a lens through which I've seen the world for most of my life. And I couldn't fully see it before. And I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So, and because it's so old, I'm just like, okay, just cry when you want to. I'm not pushing anything. I'm seeing it, I'm aware of it, I'm allowing my body to do what it needs to do whenever it wants to. Normally I allow just the feelings to come through, but because it's so old, it's like I'm not ready to feel yet, but I'm aware of the fact that I have permission to feel.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's like I look at them as like feelings as kind of like roots type of thing, where some go deeper, and some the
yeah,
deeper they go, the more time the more time and attention it's gonna take to obviously uproot it.
right.
Do you talk with a guardian angel at all, or is that
I recently had a session with my new mentor and she told me I have many guides.
yes,
One
yes.
of them is Kuan Yin, and when her flower is lilac, I've loved lilac since I was little.
Makes sense.
Um, like of course it was Kuan Yin. Um, and White Buffalo Calf Woman and Black Madonna and Mother Mary and Isis and Saint Germain
Oh,
and
Saint Germain is a trip. I've just been starting, the universe is starting to send Saint Germain content my way. I'm just like this guy needs, because I haven't done the dive on Saint Germain. I want to research. I want to learn more about
is
it.
is
I'm
amazing. It's
yeah.
amazing. I have a friend who did the whole I am discourses, and so she teaches me stuff, and I'm like, this is so deep, and it's like these decrees that I and many like volumes of decrees that came through him to help us step into our sovereignty. And he'll come in when I'm feeling like, oh, I need to like decree because I am sovereign and
Oh,
just
so you've actually talked to Saint Germain.
he's come in a couple times, like when I'm sleeping.
Okay.
Like he's more of the ones that comes in when I'm sleeping, and it's just really cool because he'll be like, "Come on, you're sovereign. Remember
Yeah.
this." Like, you're right, I am sovereign. Right. Okay.
Thank you, Saint Germain, for the
Yeah, I mean,
reminder.
he's really big on that because he wants us to remember who we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, because it was a passing thought. Like maybe my friends are talking like Saint Germain, but now based on what you just said, I will I have intention to actually just like I want to learn more about him.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's
He's
cool.
pretty amazing. And then I have Sananda
Yeah,
or Yeshua, however you want to call him.
yeah.
Then I recently found out I don't even really know them, but the Elohim, which
What are they?
are archangels and guides of a high vibration. And so I just call on them to just help me navigate the day. And when I'm present, like I'll just hear what my next step is and just tune in. And when I get in my head, because I'm a former academic, I'll put
Yeah,
my put my hands on my heart and ask my body to show me what a yes and no is before I make a decision because I know my tendencies.
I always find the journey for academics to spirituality pretty funny because it's always such a big turnaround. What caused? Because it's like kind of different paths. What was the thing that caused you to switch from academia to spirituality? Not that they have to be separate, but they
Yeah.
usually are.
Well, for me, it started when I was little, and I was like, I connected with animals on a very profound level when I was little, and I thought they were my friends. I never saw, like, I didn't get why they were separate from me. So, like, my lifelong quest was to try to understand what separation was. I thought I could do it academically, and I
Okay.
did to the extent that I could academically, and I gained 100 pounds my last year of my PhD. And then I was like, okay, 3 years later, my dad died, and then I was like, okay, I don't know a single thing because he scattered across the universe when he left his body, and I was like, okay, and that helped me remember and reawoken me to my spirituality. And so like connecting on that deeper level of the oneness of all, which is what I wanted to do, is like I knew it was a little one. I was like, I know there's no separation, but then I forgot because of all the programs, and then I've been spending
Oh,
the
the
last
programs.
15 years remembering it.
In
So
yeah, you said like 15 years in the program.
right. Right. So, I mean, it's fascinating because, like, intellectual, like, academically, I understand how separation is created,
Yeah.
which is really, really
Oh,
complex and fascinating and
but
twisted.
in the end, it's just an illusion because
Right.
there is no separation.
Right. 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 But it's really carefully constructed.
Oh,
The illusion
wow.
is really carefully constructed to keep us from,
By
and
whom? By whom? Who do you think constructed
oh, that's
that?
a deep
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
Um, well, the programming we've had is very ancient. And I think the Anunnaki and the Khazarkians have stuff to do with it.
yeah.
And
And a nuclear was involved.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what we're waking up from.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'll say.
What do you think the reason is for the programming?
To control us,
Yeah,
to keep
that's
us from
fair.
remembering that we're sovereign beings.
Could see that. I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, because once we remember
There's
who
no
we
stopping it.
are, the unlimited beings that we are, that we're co-creators of everything. Um,
We're literally reality manifesting machines
right,
constantly 24/7 from the
right,
subconsciously too. It's like that does most of the heavy lifting too. So it's like
right.
even your yeah, it's like an iceberg.
So like when we remember that, and that's what we're going through right now is remembering that. Like I've asked my team, can you like whatever I need in this lifetime, can you help me remember from all my previous timelines or my
Okay.
other timelines? Because like whatever I'm supposed to do and be, I want it to come through. And I've known since I was little, I have a lot of gifts and I want to use them all.
Nice. Well, I thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you feel is happening in consciousness right now?
I think we're at a very important stage in the sense we're hovering around. Like I think we've just reached the point where as a whole we're slightly so like I always like to circle back to the 0 to 1,000 scale. So I think we just ascended past 200,
Mm.
which means and above 200 is give energy, below 200 is take away energy.
Hmm.
So which is creating a that's like if the majority of people are taking energy, that's a completely different world than we are. So I think we're reaching new earth, but
Hmm.
that's resulting in the powers that be struggling mightily to try to keep the collective as a whole, which is why we see so much like war, so much just misery and just like like lower vibrationals. There's like if you open social media, what do you see? It's all a certain level, and the reason is because that's when people are impressionable. So I think we're at a very interesting time in our as a human race. I think it's we either figure it out or we don't.
My social media is like orcas and Bernese mountain dogs and hikes outside the Northwest. Like, I don't, because I actually got rid of my social media for a long time, and I was guided when I restarted my podcast to like, you have, and promoting my business, they're like, you got to get on social media again. I'm like, really?
Yeah, man.
I want to do that. And like, no, get on. I'm like, okay, so I'll go on Instagram, but I'm going to follow the cute things that I love.
There we go. And then
I'm not
here,
following the darkness. And I follow some light workers, but like most of the time it's like, oh, look, it's an orchid jumping out of the water. It's,
oh, I guess that's just your frequency then. Congrats. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's because like, well, the orcas are like really deep in my heart. Their Salish name, which is a tribe in the Northwest, is Quillameshan.
Hmm.
That means people of the sea. And
Okay, there's
they much prefer that I call them the Quillameshans, so I do.
yeah. No, because that's our actual name, and I think names ourselves, names of power,
Mhm.
and orcas are probably just some just like that was kind of just thrown on them
Yeah,
by
I mean, it's just another white whale or killer whale. Oh, I'm
yeah,
like,
they're too friendly for that.
okay, you know what? All whales kill, just, they eat, so they all kill, but orcas, Quillameshans eat cute things. That's the only difference between them and every other whale.
Yeah. And cute is subjective. I mean, that's just how people yes, like don't eat seals, everything, but who cares? It's nature. It's all supposed to be that way.
I know.
Circle of life.
I know. So, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm so loving your frequency.
No, I like yours too a lot. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. Thank you.
Honestly, that's one of the best parts about like
Yeah.
no like for me it's like I love the spirituality journey just because people meeting people like you just like after this conversation I know I'm gonna be in a much better mood because I'm gonna hang out with some friends later and like that'll rub off on them and hopefully that rubs off on them which goes back to the thing it's like raise your own frequency
Yeah.
so that's how we raise the frequency as a collective is just raise our own you meet the right people and then we kind of like amplify together which
Mhm.
is what I love so much about that meditation or too it's like a room full of, yeah that was an amazing energy. Where it's like you could feel it when you're walking. You're just like, well, the happiest group I've ever seen. That was beautiful.
Mhm. Oh, I love it. It's like when I mean, that's what when I saw these people today walking, I'm like, have a fantastic day.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, what? You just,
Huh? Could be.
what? Huh? Huh? Wait, what is that? I mean, tomorrow I'm just gonna say delightful because like I love the word delightful. It's just,
That's a fun word.
it's a fun
Delightful. It's
word.
a delightful word.
It is because it's like it's not used very much, but it really has a really beautiful frequency to it. So it's like, whatever word wants to come through that raises the frequency, it raises my frequency just by saying it. So why not? Like I don't want to wish any like, oh, have a good day. Blah. Like,
Yeah, that's poster cards. Like it's blah. Doesn't mean anything. It's like
I mean,
thank
we
you.
have so many beautiful words in this language and we should use them more.
Let's, that it will be what you just said will be a lifetime long impact on me. So thank you.
Oh, you're
We
so
pro-
welcome.
Yeah, I will try to use better words with the goal of making people's day more delightful.
Oh yeah, and eye contact and smiling. I mean, like that does wonders. Like if you smile at somebody, they're just like so like surprised in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And that raises vibration too.
And of course, I think you know that the inner world reflects the outer world. So when you're just sending out positivity and love, which is I think why we connect, and that's why I like at least for me, I've noticed the type of people I connect to just been amazing people. It's just like when you're sending out that frequency, the universe is like, you can have double what you're sending, which is
Mhm,
why it's so helpful to be positive because and then it spreads and then more. It's just yeah, because this was the first time I'm like fully talking about because I've always known that's okay, spread positivity that, but like thinking about it's like okay, you spread positivity. I inject positivity out, it comes back to me. Then the people I hang out with, that happens to them on a more micro scale, and then just like spreads like a nice little virus of just like, yay, delightfulness. Everyone love everybody.
it's beautiful. And when we do kind things for people, I love doing kind things for, well, animals and people. I just love being kind. And just to see the ripple effect of that, it's just so much fun.
And the cool thing, at least my favorite thing is you can't even measure this, nor do you even does it even matter to measure, but you can't measure the second, third, fourth, fifth order effects. Because you see, like your kind of, it's great that it helps one person, but it spreads past that and then spreads past that. And it's like eventually you just reach everyone. So it's like
Mhm.
again back to like we're all connected.
Right. And so that's like why it's so beautiful when we have the conscious awareness when we enter the world on a given day, like how are we going to show up?
Yeah, and that's where I love meditating in the morning,
Mhm.
like right when you wake up, just because that's when you have all the melatonin going. So from like a academic reason, that's the reason why you want to do it. But so what I like to do is like I like to meditate until I feel unlimited. And
Mhm.
once you feel unlimited, you are unlimited. Then you start your day, and then everything you do has like a because and everything you do has that tint to your life, and that just spreads.
Mhm.
I'm guessing. So I have a gratitude journal, which is one of my favorite hobbies. I'm guessing you have one or something. Have you practiced that before?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Just a simple gratitude journal.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Every night right
that.
before I go to bed, I write 10 things that I'm grateful for every single night. So I go to bed with that energy.
Yes, to the I love the gratitude. It's such
Oh,
a,
it's so much fun. There's so
it's
many
a,
things to be grateful
oh
for.
yeah, like the air that I breathe, the fact we're on a computer, the fact that I have headphones, the fact that I have water if I so choose, like, and gratitude is a good frequency to be on. It's one
Mhm.
of the best, I think. Where it's like, because
Oh,
you
I
can't
love
even like try to be sad when you're thankful, try to be angry when you're thankful. Just like they don't
it.
mesh. They're like
Yeah.
oil and water.
Well, I'm mad that I'm thankful. No, it doesn't
Yeah,
work that
yeah.
way.
One or the other. Might as well pick the thankful one.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the time and I have another podcast coming up. So I want to thank you and I want to ask you how people can find you, Eric.
Um, so the best way to do it is my personal Instagram, Eric D. McHugh, and my goal is to be as helpful or as possible. So if there's anything I can help you with, please reach out. And I'm wishing everyone listen. I want to thank everyone who took the time to listen, and I'm wishing you and your families a beautiful life.
Thank you so, so much, Eric. I'm so grateful that you reached out and we had this beautiful conversation.
It was fun. And again, thank you so much for hosting. You're an amazing person.
Thank you so much.